Hi, my name is Chakroborty, and today I wanted to talk about how culture drives behavior. And to get started, the reason I'm interested in this topic is because my parents are Indian immigrants, and to meet my family and spend time with them, I travel to India a lot. And every time I go to India, I notice some major differences between life in the US and life in India. And I thought to myself, what causes these differences? Why are things so different just because it's on the other side of the world? And although there's many factors that may contribute to this, I thought that the main one was culture. And this is evident in our everyday lives, such as the clothes we wear, the food we eat, and like the people we talk to and how we interact with people. So to get started, my first thing that I noticed was clothing. And there are some major differences in clothing between the US and India. Right now, as you can see, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, which is considered casual Western clothing. However, if I was in India right now, I may be wearing shorts and a t-shirt, but I also could be wearing something called a kurta, which is a form of traditional Indian clothing. It's normally made of like cotton or silk, and it extends down to my knees and to my wrists. And as you can see on this one, they tend to have like intricate designs and patterns over them as decorations. So this is called a kurta, as I said, and if I were to walk down the streets of India wearing a kurta, I would look completely normal. However, if I were to walk into a public place in the United States of America wearing a kurta, I would probably attract many weird looks and looks of confusion. And I personally have an example of this because in the United States we have cultural events for people of Indian heritage annually, and to these cultural events, it is like normal to wear a kurta. And one time, as an offering to a goddess, my family had to pick up flowers before going to this cultural event. So we went to the store to pick up flowers, and there was no time to change in between. So I had to wear my kurta to the store. And I could tell by the looks on the faces of people around me that they were really confused by what I was wearing. Like, what is this? Because it's not normal to wear a kurta in America, and they've never seen it before. Another example is like personal space and social structure. So in the United States, it's more common to talk to people from not a very close distance, but not like a far distance. So kind of like a moderate distance. Like if I were talking to you in person right now, I would be talking to you from what we would consider normal, like a moderate distance. However, in India, it's more normal to talk to people from a farther distance rather than how close we are in the United States. And on the contrary to that, a couple of years ago, I went to the Bahamas, and what I noticed there was that people tend to stand a lot closer to each other. And although like it may feel a little bit weird at first, for example, like when I went to the Bahamas, I felt a little bit uneasy, a little bit like weirded out by how close people were standing to me when they were talking to me. But what I came to realize was like a moderate distance may be my normal, but for them, maybe a closer distance could be their normal. And since I was in the Bahamas, I tried to learn to like respect that and understand it. And even though it may not be my normal, I'm still able to understand it. And on the contrary to that, my grandmother had spent her entire life in India, but a couple summers ago she came to the US to visit me, and I could tell already that she was like she was also a little bit like uneasy feeling because in India, like I said, it's more normal to stand farther apart compared to the US. So when she came to the United States, when she was talking to people, she looked a little bit uncomfortable. Like she wasn't used to talking to people from such a close distance. Another thing on this topic is talking to strangers. So in the US, say you're walking your dog in a park or something like that, and you see a stranger. It's normal and it's considered polite to talk to someone, say hi, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, things like that. However, in India, what I noticed is it's more common to just keep your head down and mind your own business. It's not really as common to talk to strangers as it is, say, here in the US or especially in the Bahamas. My final example that I noticed is food. And from goat curry to gator bites, there's a lot of different food considered in the cuisine consumed around the world. So although I may be a first generation American used to eating all different types of foods, and believe me, I love food and I love trying new cuisines, there's some people who aren't as comfortable trying new foods. I can assure you some of my friends aren't as comfortable eating goat curry as they would cheeseburger, because a lot of times goats are considered as pet animals and people don't really feel comfortable eating them as food. On the contrary to that, again, my grandmother came to the US a couple of years ago and we went to South Carolina and they had gator bites there. And my grandmother, who first of all is a vegetarian, was extremely grossed out, shocked, and repelled by the idea of eating the deep fried meat of a reptile. And what I noticed is, even though they're different types of foods, in the end, it's the same. They both have ears, they both have a mouth, they both have hands and feet of their own kind. But the difference between a goat and an alligator and eating the two, it's nothing more than culture. It's what they're used to, and that's what causes these differences. So in the end, what I noticed is that even if I don't agree with these different cultures, what is important to me is to try and understand these different cultures, and maybe even if I don't agree with it, to try and understand and respect it. And when I was little, I used to think that there's an Indian part of me and an American part of me, and I used to think that if I became more American, I would become less Indian, and if I became more Indian, I would become less American. But as I grew older, I realized that these two parts of me are so big that when I become more Indian, it complements me. I grow bigger and I'm able to become more American, and I'm able to grow as a whole as a person. Thank you.